Okay, so sit yourself on your lift. Just find a good, just bring yourself into a good cross-legged position, and then hold on to your knees. Lift and open your chest, and then draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Spend a few moments just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Consciously, fill in the lungs from the bottom to the top. Keep your eyes still, looking at something that doesn't move in front of you. And then release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen it from the armpits into the elbows, from the elbows into the heels of the hands, from the heels of the hands up into the fingertips, from the thumb to the little finger, spread in the palms, press in the horseshoe of the heel of the hand firmly together. Take a deep inhalation, and then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Soften your jaw, soften your tongue, soften your throat. Just focus on filling the lungs, observing how the body accommodates the breath. The chest rises upwards and outwards, and how the body accommodates the out breath. Observe that with each in-breath, we draw in energy to the body. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, and then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open. Just hold on to the fronts of your knees and lift the spine upwards. So as we turn to the right, I want you to really focus on turning from the kind of slices of the spine, like a cake stand. Like for afternoon tea, you've got your sandwiches on the lower level, you got your cakes on the middle level, and then you got your petit fours on the top. So the abdomen is the sandwiches. That's probably quite apt, isn't it? So the abdomen is the sandwiches. So you turn the sandwich layer first, then you turn the cakes, and then you turn the petit fours, keeping the neck soft, but really feeling like you can really differentiate between each level as you turn. So drawing the sandwiches across principally, and then consciously turn the cakes, and then the petit fours. So breathe in, using the out breath to intensify your turn. Just be gentle. And then come back to the center. Hold onto your knees. Take a deep inhalation, and then again turning from the sandwiches to the cakes to the petit fours. But don't leave the sandwiches behind. Keep turning the sandwiches as well. Breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. And then come back to the center. Just come off the lift and then sit back on your heels. Big toes are together, your knees are nice and wide. Get your thumb right into the back of the knee. Give yourself a bit more space in the back of the calf as you sit yourself down. Just acquaint the shins with the mat. Press the shin bone consciously into the shin skin so that you activate the thighs. So the action that we've been working on this week is to suck the outer thighs in. And in vrksasana, it feels like the outer thighs want to bulge outwards. So can you consciously suck the outer thighs inwards? And then notice how much extension you get into your spine. So let the outer thighs bulge outwards, and then suck the outer thighs in. And then notice at the same time, you gain length in the front chest. So squeeze the outer thighs in as much as you can, lengthening from the hip up into the armpit, considering the bimetallic strip action of the front chest. So the chest almost becomes longer than the back chest. So like a river flowing from the belly button up to the shoulders and then down your back like a waterfall. So the shoulder blade region draws down the back. So sucking the outer thighs in, extending into the spine, keeping the front chest longer than the back chest, and then come forwards, keeping the seat bones down as much as you can, keeping that front chest long for as much as you can, sucking the outer thighs in to lengthen into the spine. Go down slowly, trying to draw the sternum towards the floor. And then finally, bring your forehead down. Keep sucking the outer thighs in to lengthen the front chest, lengthen from the hips into the armpits, from the armpits into the elbows, into the wrists, into the hands. But at the same time, stretching from the hands to the elbows, to the armpits, to the hips. So you're stretching in two directions. So we're going to thread the needle. So lift your head. Christine, this might be a little bit strong for you. Let me just show you and then just make a decision as to whether it looks like something your back will be okay with. You thread the left hand underneath the right hand. The palm, that left hand reaches up towards the ceiling. You bring the shoulder down, bring your head down, and then stretch into both arms as though you're still doing vrksasana. And then roll the chest down to face the floor. So it opens up in the shoulder blade region. So you're trying to, rather than turn, you're trying to bring the chest down to face the floor again. So it really opens up that inner shoulder blade region. And then stretch your arms away again. Just come back to normal vrksasana. And then stretch the right arm underneath the left arm. Turning, so bringing the shoulder down, bringing the head down if you can. Continuing to lengthen into both arms as though you're still doing normal vrksasana. And then rolling the chest down to face the floor, keeping the shoulder down if you can. So we open up that inner shoulder blade region. Lift your head, stretch your arms forwards, sit back on your heels. Then come up onto all four, onto your knees, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. Baddhakonasana. So the action that we have been working with this week is to stamp the neck of the big toe down into the floor as firmly as you can. So press the neck of the big toe into the floor and then spread your toes and try and get the little toe side of the foot to really stamp down into the floor. And then suck the outer thighs towards the inner thighs, the outer thighs inwards. And then observe the length in the front chest, in the spine. Draw the back chest down towards the hips. Press the palms firmly into the floor. Straighten your legs. At the same time as sucking the outer thighs in, turn the fronts of the thighs in. So you suck the outer thighs inwards and turn the fronts of the thighs inwards from the little toe side to the big toe side, but don't lose that little toe action on the floor. Breathing evenly and deeply, just bringing the body into the pose. Step your feet forward, come up into a standing position, and then bring a couple of blocks from underneath your hands for half trikonasana. So bring the heels out to the edges of the mat, bring the little toes out to the edges of the mat. And then again, stamp the neck of the big toe into the floor and then really splay out into the little toe. Try and press the little toe down as firmly as you can. Suck the outer thighs in, lift up into the chest, raise your arms up. And then hinge at the hips. If you're protecting your back, just go to halfway to a tabletop or top of back of a chair. Otherwise, come down and find the blocks underneath your hands. So at first, just assess where your body is today, where the legs are. I mean, obviously they're in the same place as they always are. That's not what I mean. But the little toes, can you stamp them down really consciously? Can you suck the outer thighs inwards and can you lengthen into the spine? Do your legs feel as responsive as usual, or do they feel less responsive? Stamp the little toes down, suck the outer thighs in, and turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, so that you broaden a little more in the backs of the thighs and you can pick up the seat bones all the more. Suck the outer thighs in, lift the seat bones up, project the chin and the chest forward, tightening the kneecaps. If you can come down a little, then do. If you can find the floor without losing the action of the legs, then come down and find the floor. Otherwise, just maintain the action with the block. So this isn't the shape that we're looking for, this kind of rounded back. So if you're coming down onto the floor, make sure you round your back. And if you can't, suck those outer thighs in, turn the thighs in, lift the seat bones and project the chin and the chest forwards and concave in the shoulder blade, then go higher. Just breathe in evenly and deeply. Going back to the feet, going back to the neck of the big toe, stamping that consciously down into the floor. Stretching out into the little toes, sucking the outer thighs in, turning the fronts of the thighs in, lifting the seat bones, projecting the front chest forward, descending the back chest, drawing the shoulder blade region down the back. If you can continue to come forward, keep the front chest long as you draw the body in towards the gap between the two legs. Get hold of the heels and keep the legs straight, drawing the body in through the legs. Activating the neck of the big toe, the little toes, sucking the outer thighs in, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, broadening the backs of the thighs, lifting the seat bones, extending the front chest all the way to the chin. Just release your hands and then bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into a standing position. So just come up into Tadasana. So your inner edge of your feet are together, spread your toes, stamp the little toes down onto the floor, like you've kind of put something heavy on the little toes. Stamp the little toes down firmly. The little toes are really hard to activate, aren't they? So see if you can really press the little toes into the floor so that you can suck the outer thighs in and then extend up into the chest. So although we're focusing on the little toes, hit your legs back so that you draw your weight into your heels. Just breathe in evenly and deeply. And then relax. Get your belt and put the belt into a loop that's about the same width as your hips, maybe slightly smaller. And Anantasana really activates those little toes, but we're going to do this a different way today. So you're going to hook the belt just around the toes of the feet. So it's rather than the ball joint of the feet, I want you to have the body of the belt so that it's in contact with the little toes. And then come up into a standing position and then hit the heels outwards. So if you feel that your belt is too wide, just narrow it a little so that it's tight around your toes. So it's got to go around the toes, and especially it's got to touch the whole of the little toe. So even if the kind of belt's poking over the top of the little toe. So this can be quite strong in knees, so don't overdo it. But we want to just have this around the little toes, have the heels out slightly, and then try and push the little toes really firmly into the belt. So like I say, it can be hard on knees. So if necessary, bend your knees, but try and push the little toes really hard into the belt. So this is going to leave a template. So when you push the little toes into the belt, the little toes will try and lift up off the floor. So try and push the little toes into the floor and then bring the toes down onto the floor. So you can do this with bent knees or straight legs, but it's quite strong with straight legs on knees. So if it's too strong on your knees, then bend your knees to do it. So try and really push the little toes into the belt, and then try and rotate the legs so that the feet are flat on the floor. The outside edge of the foot is pressing deeply into the floor. Really stamp the little toes firmly into the floor. And then if you bend in your knees, you can try and straighten them. If you find it too strong on your knees, then just keep your knees bent. Push the little toes really hard into the belt. And then notice when you push the little toes into the belt, these outer thighs start to react. So the outer thighs start to firm, and perhaps they start to suck inwards. And then that has this tube of toothpaste effect up into the chest. So really push firmly. And then just relax the belt, just put the belt in front of you, and then come back into Tadasana. And now, hopefully, the little toes will feel much more conscious. So have the big toes together, press the neck of the big toe down, spread out into the toes. If you spread your fingers, your toes will work in sympathy. And then really stamp that little toe side of the foot firmly down into the floor. Straighten your legs, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, press the little toes down and suck the outer thighs in. The whole of the outer thigh, not just the hip, the whole of the outer thigh sucks inwards. And then you lift up into the chest like a tube of toothpaste. Raise your arms up. So I run out of ceiling height here. Press the little toes down. Keep the weight in your heels. Stamp the little toes really firmly down onto the floor. And then release. We can do vrksasana, standing initially on your left leg. So press the neck of the big toe, the left foot, firmly into the floor. Spread the left toes. Stamp that little toe really firmly into the floor, and then bring the right foot as high up into the leg as you can. So use something to help you to balance if need be. So you can just use the back of a chair or a table. So that's fine if you need that. We'll go to the wall. So in this first stage, just press the shin back so that your weight is in your heel. And then stamp the little toe really firmly into the floor so this outer thigh naturally starts to suck inwards. Push the foot in towards the thigh. Lengthen from this inner groin into the inner knee, and then squeeze that bent leg buttock bone forwards. Anantasana action, isn't it? And then raise your arms up. So ideally the palms of the hands are parallel. I run out of ceiling height here, so I have to bring my hands a bit closer together. But parallel arms, vrksasana arms are better. Breathe evenly. Just listen to the breath. Look at something that's not moving. Look at something at eye height that isn't moving, like a dot on the wall. Keep sucking the outer thigh of the standing leg inwards, squeezing the bent leg buttock bone forwards. And then release, and then come back into Tadasana. So if you can, just raise your shorts on the right leg and then come back up into Tadasana. Spreading the toes, spreading the neck of the big toe, or stamping the neck of the big toe into the floor, spreading out into the little toe. Just lift and open the chest and then raise up your left leg. Bring the foot firmly into the inner thigh. Stamping the little toe of the standing foot really firmly into the floor so that you suck the outer thigh in. I feel wobbly on this side for some reason. Lift and open the chest. Lengthen from the inner groin to the inner knee, squeezing that bent leg buttock bone forward. And then raise your arms. So ideally arms are shoulder width away from each other, palms are shoulder width apart. Keep stamping that little toe really firmly into the floor so that you suck the outer thigh in, pushing the foot in towards the inner thigh of the standing leg, sucking the outer thigh of the standing leg in towards the foot. Look at something that's not moving. And then gently release, just release your legs. And then come back up into Tadasana. The inner edge of the feet together, spreading the toes, stamping the little toes into the floor. Lifting and opening the chest. Sucking those outer thighs in and then extending up into the chest. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest and then step or jump your feet apart. For trikonasana, turn your left toes in, press the neck of the big toe into the floor, stretch out into the little toe. Stamp that little toe really firmly down into the floor so that this outer thigh sucks inwards. And then keep that thigh really firm as you turn the right leg. So I'm bending the leg so it turns all the way out. And then straighten the leg. Stamp the little toe into the floor. Suck the outer thigh inwards so the buttock bone comes forwards. So the outer thighs are pointing in different directions. This outer thigh is sucking in that way. This outer thigh is sucking that way. So really be conscious of that difference. Bring the chest to face the front. Suck the outer thighs in so that you lengthen up into the spine. And then come over. But don't let this outer thigh push outwards. Suck it in. Turn the chest. Turn the chest like the cake stand, the sandwiches and the cakes and the petit fours. So if your legs are working firmly, then maybe this ability to turn the chest becomes deeper. So sucking the outer thighs inwards, turning the abdomen. So Andrew, you can always bring that front foot forwards so that you're not overworking your hips. Come back to the center, release your hands, swap your feet around. So turn the right toes in and the left leg and foot all the way out. Now this kind of makes your feet it really kind of stretches the feet. So the feet can feel like they're kind of really, really working heavily. So, just work with that and just kind of ease it out if necessary. So if you've got stiff hips, you can always remember bring this front foot kind of forwards beyond the toes of the other leg to give you more space in the hips. So remember, that's something that you can do for your hips. Stamp the neck of the big toe into the floor, stretch out into the little toe, suck into the outer thigh. Turning this leg, stamping the big toe into the floor, stamping the little toe into the floor, and then sucking this outer thigh inwards. Turn the chest to face the front, and then come down, find the shin. Keep that outer thigh sucking inwards. Keep the outer thigh of the front leg sucking inwards, and then turn the sandwiches and the cakes and the petit fours. So if the legs are firm, then you get that better turn of the spine. Just breathe evenly, deeply lifting the chest, turning the chest. Okay, come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together, and then come back into Tadasana. Just listen to the sound of the breath. Okay, and then just come down onto your back for supta baddhakonasana. So come down onto your back, pull your feet in towards the body, let the knees fall apart. If there's stiffness in your hips, then put some blocks underneath your thighs. But before you jump to putting blocks underneath your thighs, activate your feet, press the feet firmly together. Stamp the little toe side of the foot in towards each other really firmly so that the outer thighs react. If you still need something underneath your hips, then of course put them there. But firm the action first. Broaden the abdomen by drawing the abdomen, the belly button, out towards the abdominal walls, drawing the abdominal walls down onto the floor. So that the lumbar becomes a little flatter into the floor. Just breathe evenly and deeply. Raise your arms up, interlock your fingers, turn the palms all the way out. Don't worry about cracks and pops. Keep the thumbs together. And then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, then put a folded blanket underneath your shoulders or some blocks just to support your shoulders. Otherwise, keep the feet actively pressing together. The little finger side of the feet pressing together, squeezing the outer thighs in, lengthening the inner thighs from the groin into the inner knee around towards the outer knee. Broadening the abdomen, drawing the abdominal walls down onto the floor. Feeling that the shoulder blades are flat into the floor. Extending your arms away by squeezing the outer elbows inwards. Pushing the backs of the hands into the front, into the palms of the hands. Just raise your arms back up. Just look at the way you've interlocked your fingers. The index finger that's on the top. Just unhook the fingers and then rehook them with the opposite index finger on the top. So you're doing the unnatural interlock. Turn the palms all the way out to the ceiling, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. Just breathing evenly and deeply. Squeezing the outer elbows inwards, pushing the backs of the hands into the palms of the hands. And then release your arms. Stay in supta baddhakonasana. Just rest your hands on your lower ribs, so that you can feel the rise and the fall of the abdomen, so that you can feel the expansion of the chest. And just let the legs soften. So don't inhibit the expansion of the chest with the hands. Just feel how the chest expands outwards and upwards. And as you exhale, the lower ribs draw a little closer together. As you inhale, they draw further apart. And then when you're ready, just draw your knees towards each other. Have the knees together, the feet apart for a moment. Just let your hips soften. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then just rock yourself up into a seated position. So we can do dandasana. So again, we're going to use the belt. So take the belt out of the loop and then just sit with your legs just out in front. Just roll over and move the buttock flesh out to the side. So if you really struggle to lift your back, if your kind of back rounds like this, then sit yourself on a folded blanket or a couple of layers of blocks, so you're sitting a little bit higher, so it becomes easier to lift your spine. Because Christine, maybe for you, just so that it's not so difficult to lift your spine, sit on a lift, just to give yourself that kind of extra space. Have the big toes together, have your heels slightly apart, and then throw the belt around your feet. Now normally we have the belt around the ball joint of the feet, so we'll stick with that for today. So put the belt around the ball joint of the feet, but hopefully again your little toes may feel like they are a little more active. So I want you to really spread the toes, press the little toes really firmly into the belt. Try and separate the heels, and then try and suck the outer thighs inwards, so that you start to really elevate up into your chest. So the extension of the chest is always entirely at the mercy of the legs. So the more firmly you can work your legs, the more easily you can lift your spine. So press the little toes into the belt, suck the outer thighs in, and every time you suck the outer thighs in and refresh that action, hopefully you can manage to extend up into the spine even more, like that kind of tube of toothpaste action. So breathe in evenly, Now, if you've got a problem with your back, stay at this stage, just continuing to work with sucking the outer thighs in and lengthening the spine upwards. You can continuously do that, and each time you'll find more lift in the spine. So continue to keep the outer thighs sucking in and lengthening up into the chest. Keeping the front chest long, back chest descending. And then if there's no problem with your back, just see if you can creep your hands a little closer to the feet. But don't lose that action of sucking the thighs inwards so that you can lengthen up into the spine. There's something graceful in a way about that action of activating the little toes, sucking the outer thighs in, and then that extension up into the spine, keeping the legs really straight. If you can reach your feet, then get hold of your feet. Keep that action of the little toes pressing into the hands, the outer thighs sucking in, the spine just gracefully lifting up. If you can come forwards even more, bend your elbows out to the side, but keeping the back straight, keeping the shoulder blade region drawing into the spine, keeping your shoulders away from your ears, shoulders down away from your ears. So your shoulders look like they're lifting up. Try and draw your shoulders away from your ears, lift your head up away from your shoulders. If you can reach around your feet, then do. So come forwards into paschimottanasana. But all the time we're just trying to lengthen the front of the body. Okay, and then just gently come back to the center and then bring the feet into baddhakonasana. Again, if you feel like you kind of roll back with baddhakonasana, then sit on a folded blanket, hold on to the big toes and push the heels together, suck the outer thighs inward. So that's kind of upwards away from the floor, isn't it? Suck the outer thighs in and lengthen up into the spine. So this can be quite strong for your back again. So if it's too strong for you, then you do cross legs. So we're going to turn to the right side. So that can be quite strong in baddhakonasana. So do it in cross legs if your back is, if you're kind of protecting your back. I mean, of course, we're all protecting our backs, but if you know what I mean. Lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards. Really activate those outer thighs inwards so you can lengthen up into the spine. Maintain that lift, bring the left hand onto the top of the right foot and then turn around to the right side. Turn in the sandwiches, then the cakes, then the petit fours, keeping the neck soft. Digging the back hand into the floor to stop you from collapsing in the lower back. And then come back to the center, just hold on to the big toes. Drive the spine upwards, suck the outer thighs in to lengthen up into the spine, and then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center and then lift, sucking the outer thighs inwards, extending the spine upwards. And then just release your legs, bring your knees in towards each other, stretch your legs out in front, and then just come down onto your back. Just rest your feet, pull your feet in towards your seat bones, just rest your feet into the floor for a moment. We're just going to do viparita karanhi. So just rest your back into the floor just to start off with. Take hold of the sides of the mat at the hips, and then try and tear the mat apart, turning the crease of the elbows up to face the ceiling and trying to turn them out to face the sides of the room. Keeping hold of the mat firmly, bend your knees in towards your chest, and then elevate your legs up to the ceiling. Sucking the outer thighs, spreading the toes, sucking the outer thighs in so that you feel that there's freedom in the spine. Breathing evenly and deeply, extending the legs up to the ceiling. Sucking the outer thighs in so that you can lengthen up into the spine. Breathing evenly and gently, but deeply. Soft, slow and steady. And then just gently bend your knees, bring your feet back down onto the floor. Just sit yourself up and just get your blanket. Make sure that it's well folded. And then make sure that there's space at the sides of you, there's not lots of equipment around you, so that you can stretch your arms out. And then just lay yourself in a really good straight line right down the center of your mat. Bring the blanket into the base of the neck, into the tops of the, just so the tops of the shoulders are touching the blanket. Take your glasses off if you're wearing them, just to rest your face if you can. Turn the palms of the hands up to face the ceiling. Let the feet let go. Let the legs let go. Let the arms let go. Just allow the body to release into the floor. Soften your jaw, soften your tongue, soften your throat. Unhook the muscles of the arms and the legs, so that the body becomes heavy on the floor. And then observe the lightness of your energetic body rising up to the uppermost skin. Use your in-breath and your out-breath to distribute that feeling of lightness evenly around the body. Down into the tips of the toes, the tips of the fingers, the top of the head. basking in the glow of positive, energetic lightness. And you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bring yourself back into this pose of Shavasana. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock, a grounding, gentle grounding massage on your spine. Just rocking side to side from top to bottom, just giving yourself a gentle massage on your back. And then roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. And then just hold onto your knees, lift and open your chest. Bring your hands into Namaste. Close your eyes, draw your breath down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you've released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions, the forward bends, the twists, the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. As you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you have really lifted your energy, given yourself a good old stretch, and you've got lots of good energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.